Dr. Kemi Omalulu, Nigerian journalist, pharmacist, PR specialist, and community activist. July 17th, 2019, Lagos, Nigeria. I just wanted to thank everybody who watched the show yesterday. Even though some parts of the show you were not happy about the way I was being questioned and all that on Your View TVC, I still maintain that TVC is the #1 station in Africa. The station has good programming, very family friendly, news, and everything's on tip top shape. I will never doubt TVC. The standards of this station is very high. If you've ever been to Canada, even when I was leaving the station yesterday, the crowds that follow me, staff, employees, security guards, I told them, I said, this is your station. Jagaban must have built it after Canada. I know that Ahmed Tinubu was in Canada at one time during the days of the asylum and everybody fled Nigeria in the Abacha era, whatever. But if you enter CTV, in Canada, in Toronto, that's exactly the same way it's built. The lobby, the back, the newsroom, TVC looks just like CTV. Okay? So, I have no problem with the station. I have no problem with the programming. I have no problem with the hosts. Maybe some things are different, but this is what I want to tell everybody on tape. I want to do it as a video press release. Okay, my publicist is Zoe Perez. She's out of New York. She was a publicist colleague of mine in Canada and also a lawyer. She does my international publicity when I have to do things outside the country, and the country is Nigeria. What I want to say is that Morayo Afolabi Brown, who hosted the show, I expressed my opinion on what happened with my mental state. Stella Dimoka Carcass wrote something last night against the show and how unprofessional the show was. Mariah wrote back on what Stella said. It's on Mariah's Instagram page. A lot of people complained. Mariah said, if she had put me and Chude together, face off, it could have caused some kind of anxiety, blah, 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 face off, argument. We have face offs on TV all the time. The two spokespeople for Atiku and Buhari yelled at each other throughout each channel's interview. That's not what I aimed to do yesterday. I wanted to hear Chude's side, and Chude should have heard my side. Angles of everything. Instead, Chude lied on me. Yemi Adamalekun lied on me. And the show entirely started with my mental health. I was called a liar. My PTSD was ridiculed. When I discovered I had post-traumatic stress disorder in April 2018 is when I had suicidal ideation. Sometimes I feel like killing myself. I made it known. I kept it public. TVC tweeted it. A lot of people tweeted it. A lot of bloggers wrote about it. Dr. Wakama, the medical director of Nigerian prisons, who treated me, said your PTSD started the day they brought you here from SARS. All the shooting at SARS that I saw, all the blood on the walls, all the extrajudicial killings, and then the prison, all the horrors I saw, and 2 people or 3 that I lost in the prison. Post-traumatic stress disorder, I put a face on it in Nigeria. It's a flashback of a traumatic event. Nearly all of us know one person that has been through a trauma in Nigeria. It is not a mental illness. It's a mental disorder. The reason is because trauma itself is a human experience. If you get hit by a car out there and you really survive it, you'll never want to be in a car again. You'll never want to enter a car because one hit you. Trauma is very difficult. Our army is suffering it. PTSD was discovered in the U.S. military. And the most prominent case is Fort Hood Barracks in America, where the psychiatrist to the military came home from Iraq and was seeing patients in his office when he opened fire and killed 13 out of 46. 46 were shot. Dr. Nidal Hassan is in the prison now, awaiting death. He's paralyzed on a wheelchair because they didn't kill him. They just wanted to stop him from the rampage that day. At the end of the day, our military are also suffering PTSD. It's always been associated with a military disease. And I'm advocating for our military. Although the Army has blocked me on Twitter because I spoke out about the Just Pond and everything else that they didn't do. 3 years now. At the end of the day, I got to tell you one thing. I'm a Nigerian, a true patriotic Nigerian. And when Mommy's Planet named me Yanaira, he said, it's not just because of Naira Marley, but also because you support Nigerians. I'm very patriotic. Okay, I could well be an ambassador, a tourist ambassador to this country. I am fully Nigerian. Green, white, green. And I support our military. And I support our military that are suffering and put through court martial. Some of them are deserting the field because they fought Boko Haram and they've had enough. They have children at home and wives at home. At the end of the day, PTSD. We have not looked at it. Didn't we send children to go fight Boko Haram? Civilian JTF, child soldiers. Those kids have PTSD too. UNESCO's here helping treat them. I can't say more about it, but Star FM, I want to thank you for having me on the show. There was a big interview done on Star FM on the show. I spoke about a PTSD 2 months ago. And on World Mental Health Day, October of 2018, was my first appearance via phone on Your View TVC about my PTSD. And when PTSD Awareness Day came on June 27, I also spoke via phone on Your View TVC. To know that Mariah and the girls, I said girls because they didn't act like ladies yesterday. Mariah and the ladies called me a liar and made fun and dragged me down. The minute Mariah called me mentally questionable, some people said your PTSD doesn't make you think well. That's not how you start an interview with an international journalist with reputable records. I have done 20 investigative stories in my lifetime, and I've been nominated for an Emmy Award, which most of you don't even know. The Emmy Award is the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences. I'm a member of the Emmys. Television arts, the TV shows. Sciences, broadcast news. Yes, I was nominated for a very big story during the WBAL days in Baltimore. The drugs, the fake prescription stories. I've had awards in others, but my work is not known in Nigeria too much, and people say she's mentally insane. She's this, she's that. And for BC, who sat on my left, to say that you've done a lot of stories that came out to be lies. Like you said, Linda Ikeji's not pregnant. That really pulled me down because this same show called me about Linda Ikeji's pregnancy in the surrogacy show, and I gave you guys information, and you did the show. I was going to be in the show, but I didn't have time that day, and I said I wouldn't be around. And they did the show. They brought a fertility expert in, and surrogacy was discussed, and how people wear baby bumps to fool their relatives. And to hear yesterday from BC that Linda Ikeji, I cut her off and I said Linda was never pregnant. That's not the way to have started that show yesterday. You questioned my mental sanity. You told Nigerians, and then you even called me a liar. Now, Marianne Longa said she doesn't believe in this investigation I'm doing. So you tore me apart in the beginning of the show before I could even talk on the show. What I wanted to do was to get up at that one moment on live television and walk out. We would have been talking about something else today. Mariah spoke to me via WhatsApp, apologized for everything. She especially apologized for questioning my mental state and mentioning my PTSD on that show, knowing that I'm the one that came on their show and talked about PTSD twice, and making fun of it and promoting it as a bad thing for Nigeria to see me not credible. She apologized on behalf of everybody on the show and herself, because she mentioned the PTSD, the others called me a liar. That's not how to do a show. I was hurt. I was very hurt. You guys tore me down. But I have forgiven you, Mariah. You saw my messages. She said, should they canceled? And they didn't want me to know because he didn't want to face off with me. But that's okay. But please learn from this, Mariah. BC, Marianne. Nima was fair. She was an attorney and she saw things. I explained to her why I exposed that girl's name. But that show was really not me. When I sat down in the studio watching the rest of the show, I should have been up there. But it's okay. I'm not a liar. Don't use my mental state. You gave people more authority to use it against me. They've been saying it already. So she certainly doesn't have PTSD. Beautiful Tonybo has paid her bill. Something, this one, that one. Don't play with PTSD. It's not a joke. Thank you for listening, everybody. Everybody's forgiven at TVC. I appreciate you, Mariah, for the apology.